It's November 25th, JLD here, and welcome to MSTR Today and the Treasury Titans. Nothing in this video is financial advice, so sit back, relax, and let's dive on in because today's episode, I'm going to bring a calm, steady tone as we look at what's unfolding across Bitcoin strategy and the conversations, of course, happening on X. The charts shared by Powerful HRV, they show Bitcoin moving through its usual cycles, just reminding us that, hey, nothing is new here. Just another moment in a long, steady journey upward with, of course, brutal pullbacks that just are par for the course. Roaring Ragnar adds a helpful perspective per usual, noting that more people are quietly waking up to Bitcoin, even if it doesn't feel dramatic day to day. Zinx offers a few simple but meaningful visuals today, one showing how long-term holders continue to stay patient, another highlighting the familiar price zones that we're moving through. Erme brings a thoughtful macro view. He points out how traditional financial systems continue to operate with friction. They gently nudge more people towards something stable and predictable, like a Bitcoin. And of course, the Bitcoin therapist gives us a reminder that staying grounded emotionally is part of the process. Adrian shares a note about keeping conviction without forcing anything, which feels especially fitting right now. And Zinx again comes in and shares with a look at liquidity that quietly hints the next phase of growth may already be forming beneath the surface. Strategy continues to do what it always does: accumulate, hold, and lead by example. And Michael Saylor keeps sharing simple, steady messages about digital energy that resonate more and more each day. So let's dive in with that man, Michael Saylor, who wants us to know probably nothing. And this is just Bitcoin backed credit weekly volume up 51%. Are you kidding me? This is just a dream come true. Zinx wants us to know that there's more strategy FUD. I mean, look at this junk. One, no other indices except for the MSCI. I've even mentioned about potentially removing MSTR from their index. Number two, Saylor himself has said that the 2.5 billion number is wrong, very wrong. Three, it is unlikely that MSCI will remove MSTR considering it is not a fund. Stop with this nonsense. Pretty annoying. We're going to have to deal with this uncertainty for the next few months, but I'm sure this has already been priced in. So, in Zinc's words, only up from here. Of course, Bitcoin price dependent. Erme says the U.S. government will be better off buying MSTR than Bitcoin outright for at least 5 reasons. Number one, the strengthening of the USD. Number two, digital credit. Number three, balancing the U.S. financial system. Number four, increased value without increasing purchases. And then number five, index inclusions. Let's dive into that one. Future index inclusions of MSTR would ensure that the U.S. markets always retain the global edge on equity investments. 5 good reasons. And Zinc says it's good to be optimistic, and I think that a lot of you know that me, JLD, the guy talking right now, I'm optimistic to a fault sometimes, but that's fine. I'd rather be optimistic to a fault than pessimistic to a fault for obvious reasons. I'm a bull maxi. I believe in Saylor's vision. I believe in strategy. I believe in the United States of America. I believe in the global world moving in the right direction. And of course, there's going to be missteps, there's going to be mistakes, and there's going to be pullbacks and disasters that always are happening. But overall, I think my son's going to live in a better world than I live in right now. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm not going to live with the opposite mindset. Zink says the past 5 months have been quite difficult for many. It's not easy to watch your portfolio drop 50 to 90%. And I'm raising my hand here. I'm one of those. But we survived, as Bitcoin always does. Say what you like about the Bitcoin treasuries, but they've been pretty resilient too. Hefty drawdowns, yes, but all of the serious companies have remained firm and haven't sold a single Bitcoin. They've continued to accumulate for the most part. People like to scaremonger and talk about forced liquidations, but hardly anyone is using significant leverage. Even strategies only get 28% amplification. This could be juiced up easily to 50%. What we are seeing is the formation of strong, resilient companies that are being built on the Bitcoin standard. The next leg up is going to be incredibly fun. Ultimately, there are only 21 million Bitcoin and everyone is after them. The faithful shall be rewarded. And fun is the right word. It's going to be so fun. I can't wait to be on this ride with you guys. Bitcoin Therapist says, and you think the bull market is over? And he's looking at the 2017 bull market, down 34%, down 40%, down 35%, down 37%, down 38%, down 27%, eventually continuing to skyrocket up and to the right. Adrian says the pressure cooker beneath the surface. Everyone is telling you that MSR is crashing. The data proves it is coming. The data proves it is coiling. I built this visualization to show what is actually happening behind the price action. Context: since the October flash crash, price has plummeted. But look at the short interest; it has exploded vertically, doubling from 2.5 mil to 5 million shares. Why does this matter? This isn't just selling; it's mechanical shorting and convertible arbitrage hedging. Combine this with the JPM MSTR margin hikes and reports of FTD spikes. It paints a clear picture. Shorters are chasing the price down, essentially digging a massive hole in phantom supply. The setup. We saw this movie earlier this year. When the short interest gets this heavy relative to the float, the stock becomes a pressure cooker. If the price ticks up, the algos, set delta neutral, are forced to buy back. The attack becomes a fuel. We aren't looking at a breakdown. We might be staring at the setup for a nasty short squeeze. And then here we go with this chart. You can see what's happening with the yellow line and the black lines. Of course, we just love lines. And what's going to happen from here? Only time will tell. Zink says, my predictions for 2026, Bitcoin will be the best performing asset. Strategy will be the best performing US equity. Metaplanet will be the best performing equity in Japan. I am taking every opportunity to add to my position at these levels while the FUD is going crazy. Me too, raising my hands. Ragnar says, Metaplanet borrowed another $130 million under their $500 million credit facility, bringing the total to $230 million. They will use these funds for 1, additional Bitcoin purchases, 2, expansion of their income generation business, 3, share repurposes. Their current MNAV is at 0.96, so I assume the majority will go towards purchasing new Bitcoin. Note, the loan was executed on Friday, November 21st, so it's very likely they bought the Bitcoin dip. I like the stock, and I like the stock too, and I like the conversation that Michael Saylor is having with Schwab, so let's sit back, relax, and enjoy. Senator Cynthia Lummis recently announced that funding for a U.S. strategic Bitcoin reserve can start anytime. This is a massive step forward for a strategic crypto stockpile, and no surprise, was soon followed by a new all-time high for Bitcoin. If you're looking to buy more Bitcoin, BitIRA can help. In fact, BitIRA will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into Bitcoin. This also allows you to buy Bitcoin using pre-tax funds, then continue to invest in it over time as you do any other retirement account. And if you want, you can even add XRP, Ethereum, or other cryptos. BitIRA protects your assets with end-to-end insurance, highly secure storage, multi-encryption, and is registered with the US government. Your IRA is fully IRS compliant. Best of all, you can trade crypto within your retirement account without incurring taxes on any buys or sells. Just go to bitira.com/JLD and request a free info guide. Once you do that and open your IRA, you'll get a free ledger. Think about this. In March, President Trump signed an executive order for the Treasury to manage 200,000 Bitcoin as the foundation for a reserve. That's just the foundation. Go to bitira.com/JLD to open a tax-sheltered IRA in Bitcoin. Fire Nation, when you want more for your business, more privacy, more guidance, more success, it all starts with Northwest Registered Agents. These legends have been helping entrepreneurs launch and grow their businesses for nearly 30 years. They're the largest registered agent and LLC service in the U.S. with over 1,500 corporate guides, real people who know your state's laws and actually care about helping you win. With Northwest, you can build your complete business identity, everything from what your customers see to what they don't, operating agreements, meeting minutes, compliance paperwork, and more. You'll get thousands of free resources, lawyer drafted forms, and step-by-step guides all in one place, and you don't even need to create an account to access them. Best part, privacy is automatic. Northwest never sells your data and handles everything in-house. Don't wait. Protect your privacy, build your brand, and get your complete business identity in just 10 clicks and 10 minutes. Visit www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free and start building something amazing. Get more with Northwest Registered Agent at www.northwestregisteredagent.com/JLD free.
It's not clear how to do that yet. Is there demand? Yeah, there's $100 trillion of demand. But I think that there's bipartisan consensus that we need that bill. That bill will get passed. We don't know what the final bright lines in the bill will be. And once the bill is passed, then it'll be clear, what you can do and what you can't do. And so I think that if you're an institutional investor or a conservative investor, right? You can buy Bitcoin, hold it as a store of value. You can buy digital equity or digital credit instruments backed by Bitcoin. That's all fairly straightforward. I think in the other part of the industry, the digital finance part of the industry, it's very driven by technology. It's very regulatory intensive, and then it's unclear. How will every jurisdiction, view every regulation? Mm-hmm. So it'll be a bit more complicated. But, we're talking about extraordinarily exciting new ideas, an artist, a celebrity that could own their own brand, and a membership that can be tokenized, a ticket that can be transferred. Right. So there are a lot of things that'll happen, and they'll be transformational and innovative, but they'll require more legislation before you're going to find your favorite celebrity do it. They're going to want to make sure they're not getting sued by the SEC.
Okay. And speaking of these new ideas, why should the US government have a Bitcoin reserve?
I think that the key to understand Bitcoin is it is like owning a piece of cyberspace. It is the world reserve capital network. So if you're looking at a world that's going to have hundreds of trillions of dollars of capital on this network, and if we're looking at a world where you're going to see trillions and maybe tens or hundreds of trillions of dollars of credit on top of the capital in the network, right? You might want to own a piece of it, right? What I say is the United States purchased 79% of the land mass of the country. 79% of the United States of America was purchased for $40 million. That's all of the Louisiana Territory. That's all of Texas. That's all of California. That's all of Alaska. We purchased it before we knew there was going to be a Hollywood, before we knew there was going to be a Silicon Valley, before we knew that anybody would want oil, right? We purchased Alaska 1867. It was Seward's folly. He was a fool for doing it. It's got trillions of dollars of oil underneath it right now. So if you can actually purchase the future, if you can own cyberspace, you ought to, right? The Dutch, I think they purchased Manhattan for like a few guilders and glass beads or something, right? So it's very valuable real estate, in the same way that you want to control the world's reserve currency network. The corollary of that is, why should the U.S. actually sell $10 trillion of stablecoins? Because money wants to move at the speed of light, and if we sell the 10 trillion of stablecoins, and if our companies run that network, we will control currency for the next 100 years. And so I think the United States ought to dominate the world reserve currency, and it ought to dominate the world reserve capital network. We're the biggest holder of gold, and if I said to you, would you like to own the majority of the oil in the world? Well, John D. Rockefeller thought yes. And we were the biggest generator of energy, due to Standard Oil, at the turn of the century. And that's why we won World War I and World War II, because we were the energy dominant leader.
What's the second best? There is no second best.